So Nigel, my message is simple. If you are prepared to work together around serious policies, serious reform, and serious government, then so are we. Not because it's politically convenient for Restore Britain, not because it's personally easy. After the events of the last 18 months, I would certainly rather not be making this offer. But millions and millions of British people deserve a patriotic government that puts our national interest before any personal differences that you and I may have. If you disagree, that is your choice. Restore Britain will be ready for what comes regardless. I truly believe there could be sufficient common ground for our two movements to cooperate collectively, destroy the looming left-wing alliance that will finish off what hope remains for this country. We have recently shown how effectively cooperation can work locally on the Norfolk County Council. So why not at national level? In my view, failing to even try because of our own personal difficulties is simply not an option. The British people deserve nothing less than our best and sincere efforts to make it happen. Now is the time to put our differences aside and cooperate for the good of the country that we all love.
So that was the core bones of the offer there. An olive branch of sorts, you might say, coming from Mr. Lowe. A man who I like. I've got no specific problem with Rupert Lowe at all. It's just that as a reform supporter, I've always believed that reform are the best place, or in the best place, to bring around the change that this country so badly needs. I'm not going to, or haven't, I should say, play the full video. What I'm going to do, if you haven't seen it, I'll put it on at the end of, my little talk here, and you get the opportunity, if you wish to see this video out. It's a 12-minute video, and Rupert does cover quite a lot of ground in that. But I'll surmise that for you here. Essentially, what Rupert Lowe appears to be proposing is not a coalition but cooperation, in order to defeat what is no doubt going to be a left-wing coalition. Labour are not going to get enough votes at the next election, neither are the Greens, but in fact neither are people on the right, certainly not the Tories. Perhaps Reform are best placed to do that, but Restore themselves aren't going to get enough votes, and it looks like we're going to have a very fragmented politics going forward. And so for that reasons, coalitions in our new political age are going to happen. Regardless of what anybody thinks, compromises are going to have to be made at some point. If Reform were to get the stomping majority that they needed to enact their policy for change, then that's all well and good. But, as we've seen in recent polls, everything is just so fragmented and so difficult that it almost seems like coalition is inevitable at some point. And just to surmise the 5 basic fundamental points that Rupert Lowe was talking about, he said that we have to have a basis for our agreement. And the first one, the big one for Restore people, is re-migration. Now, this is a very, very fundamental issue to Restore voters, and how Rupert Lowe frames it in the video is that all illegals must go. And I don't think there's many people on the right who are going to disagree with that. Remigration is a word that people bandy around as if we're just going to start deporting millions of people. But what Rupert Lowe is proposing is a very strong border, which everybody wants, and everyone who's arrived here illegally will be deported. And he actually made a specific point and said, yes, that includes women and children. So nobody gets off with any of this stuff. And, I think that is quite a popular policy now that it's been kind of redefined and looked at there. And I'm kind of on board with that. He then goes into banning halal, the second fundamental point, banning halal, kosher, banning the burqa, banning cousin marriage, banning, public Islamic prayer, Sharia courts. This is a Christian country. And again, this is a very, very popular policy. No one's really too concerned with the kosher slaughter, although it is extremely inhumane in how that happens. So perhaps, even though it's a small part of our economy, or generally of how animals are slaughtered, because there's not huge amounts of Jewish people in this country, is a different matter. But in general, this is a very, very popular policy also. The third thing he threw out there was a referendum on the death penalty, and post Axel Rudder-Cabana, who could really disagree with that? Fourth, sensible economics. I'm fully on board with that. Rupert and Nigel and, the Reform Party and Restore are all for sensible economics. And that goes without saying. And I was with Rupert all the way there. I was, okay, right, I could get on board with them as a Reform supporter. I could get behind those four. But the fifth one, restoring trust, was where Rupert lost me. And I think, in one respect, Rupert knows that. Restoring trust in Rupert's eyes means no Tory MPs in Cabinet, no ex-Tory MPs in Cabinet. And, that's just not something that Reform is going to be able to countenance. But perhaps that could be a negotiation. And I think that's why that was thrown in last of all, to keep the Restore supporters happy. But at some point, you got to negotiate. And I think Rupert, as a, very experienced businessman, he knows that. And, what he may be doing there is throwing up some points for renegotiation. Who knows? Now, as I say, you can look at the full video that Rupert put out at the end of, the things that I'm going to say here. But there's just really a couple of things to highlight as I was watching that. The first thing was that I thought this was a very, very clever political move by Rupert Lowe. And, in recent times, he seems like he can be over here and over there, and everything seems a little bit slapdash. But this political move here has shades of Nigel Farage written all over it. It's very, very good. You just listen to some of the comments that came out. I was listening to talk radio in the car as I was dropping my daughter off this morning, and there was a lot of people on there talking about this is a good move. And so in that respect, it's a very, very clever move by Rupert. And this essentially puts Nigel Farage in a little bit of a difficult place, because he may, if he's seen to be turning down this move, which appears to have a lot of things that people seem to support, if he's seen to turn that down, then Nigel's the bad one, and that could lose votes to Restore. On the other side of that, of course, this could be, an olive branch masked, masking desperation. Restore may not make it to the next election. They may be a dying political entity. Yes, they've got a few votes in Manchester, and, it looks like, to all intents and purposes, that somewhere in between 5 and 10% of the voting public are going to vote for Restore. That much is obvious. And it looks like between 25 and 30% of, and this is all in my view, of the voting public will vote for Reform. And so together, you're looking at somewhere in the region of 40%, 30 to 40% somewhere, that are going to vote for these two parties. And I think if anything were to happen with Reform and Restore, then the Tories will well and truly be put out of their misery. And, have Restore hit their peak? Is this an act of desperation in a way, this olive branch? Because that's something that does happen. When something is on its way out, people tend to want all of a sudden make deals. Running a political party is hard, and Restore have had their fair amount of critics. And of course, this comes at a time when Reform are massively under the cosh. There's a lot of stories going round. I was, again, listening in the car. I briefly flicked onto the Times radio, and it was continual reform bashing. That was all they were concerned with. And of course, if ever there was a coalition of these two parties, then there would be calls for reform, the party of ethno-nationalists. And so that's something for everyone to consider as well. And already online, there's been people coming out from reform saying they might like this, but also there's people on Restore saying, oh, well, this might be all right, but not Zia Yusuf. You've got to get rid of him because he's a Muslim, right? And this is part of the problem with the Restore vote. How many of the Restore people are strict ethno-nationalists? How many are simply hard-right people who, don't hold those ethno-nationalist view, who are civic nationalists but want a more strident view of conservatism? And how many people in Reform actually hold way more strident views than people expect, but they are pragmatic in their approach? And I'm kind of in that camp. I'm certainly not an ethno-nationalist. I'm a civic nationalist at heart, but I am of the right of politics, and certainly I class myself as centre-right, but I am, an old-fashioned conservative who likes strong borders, who, I have no love for the religion of peace, and how it's being pushed into our public consciousness at the moment, certainly how it's being practiced in public. I certainly don't like, halal, burqa, cousin marriage, mass Islamic prayer, Sharia courts. I mean, this goes without saying. I want to live in a Christian country. And I am kind of torn with this message that, Rupert Lowe put out. I am in favour of the death penalty for the most heinous of crimes. I'm in favour of remigration of everyone that's arrived here illegally. I'm in favour of sensible economics, but I will not agree with, getting out the old Tory MPs, because for me, the Tory MPs that left the Conservative Party and moved to Reform, they left for their own reasons, and people get a chance to reform their character. But also it needs to be remembered that, people like Suella Braverman, she was fighting with Rishi Sunak about boats. Jenrick has always been a bit of a pariah in the Conservative Party. He shifted and, he moved forward. And, all of these people, Nadeem Zahawi and, Rosendale, all these people, to my mind, these aren't the type of Lib Dem, wet type Tories that have brought us to the position that we're in. These are people who are true centre-right people, and for my mind, the restoring trust part about what Rupert Lowe was saying was wrong. And I'm still really digesting this. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this in the future. But, as ever, I'm going to be very, very interested to see Nigel Farage's reaction to all of this. And it'll be interesting as well to see Kemi Badenoch's reaction to this as well, because this will no doubt frighten the Conservatives quite a lot, but needs to be remembered, and I've said it before and I will say it again, Nigel Farage is a very, very slick political operator. He can handle most things. You could say he's mishandled things recently. Nobody's perfect. The going back to the people of Clacton, was that a mistake? Was it not? Well, time will tell. But nobody's perfect and everyone does make mistakes. But in general, in British politics, Nigel Farage is top of the shop. He knows how to play politics nicely. Thank you very much. And it'll be very interesting to see Nigel's reaction, and in fact the Reform Party's reaction to all of this. And I will be looking at this issue with interest. A lot of people will be interested in this, and it'll be interesting also to see how Restore people react to this, particularly online. I wonder how the Lotus Eaters and all of that mob, the Carl Benjamin mob, be interesting to see how they react to this message as well. So an interesting thing to think about, interesting certainly more than Andy Burnham deciding which white bap he wants to eat on a morning, and smiling Andy in number 10 in the North. I mean, this is a real political moment, you feel, and let's see how Nigel is going to react to this. But, certainly it appears to be an olive branch. Are these demands, these fundamental things, a little bit too much? Well, who knows? But certainly very popular policies amongst a huge swathe of British people on the right. And how Nigel reacts, as ever, will be interesting to see. And I'll see this video out with the 12-minute video of Rupert Lowe, giving you his thoughts, and I'll let you make up your own mind. But as ever, thanks very much for your time. I always appreciate it.
Nigel, when we were both elected at the general election in July 2024, the five of us all knew that we had achieved something truly remarkable through starting the process of breaking the two-party system that has strangled and suffocated Britain for so very long. It was a special moment, and it was an honour to walk into that building as part of our group of 5 MPs. I treasured that then, and despite everything, I still treasure it today. However, now in 2026, we're in a very different place. The landscape has changed dramatically. Our differences over the last 18 months are well documented. I do not agree with how you remove me from reform, but let's not recycle those same arguments again and again. I want to move past that. The country we both love is changing beyond recognition. Millions of people feel like strangers in their own communities. They work hard, pay their taxes, obey the law, and yet they see no fair reward for any of that. They see a patriotic right hopelessly divided. They see hard work punished and indolence rewarded. That is why today I'm reaching out to put personalities and our past disagreements aside for the good of the country we all so want to succeed. To ask one simple question: how can we restore Britain? If we agree on 5 fundamental principles, then I believe we can, should, and must find a way of working together in some form to make it a reality. Reform has taken a path that has moved its core offering away from what I believe is necessary to restore our country. On many issues, we agree. On others, we do not. But I'm hopeful that a common way forward can be found and forged. But any agreement or cooperation must be based on the following values, policies, and vision. First, restoring our borders. Ending mass immigration is not enough. The hour is just too late for that. It must be reversed. As you know, Restore Britain has taken the unprecedented step of publishing the most comprehensive deportation policy ever produced in British politics. That plan must be implemented in full and to the letter. Every illegal migrant must be deported, and yes, that must include women and children. Our plan has outlined exactly how that can be achieved within one parliament. You previously stated that mass deportations are a political impossibility. Not only must mass deportations become a political possibility, mass deportations must become a political inevitability. They must all go. Legal immigration has caused even more damage. Restore Britain's policy is simple but sound. If a foreign national is living in Britain, yet unable to speak English, refuses to work, lives in social housing, hates our way of life, or even wants to do us harm, they have abused our generosity, are incompatible with our high trust society, and they should be made to return to their own countries. There will be those in reform who do not agree with the robust nature of such measures, but I believe it is entirely necessary. Millions must go. Second, restoring our demographic security. It is projected that white Britons will become a minority by 2063. Nothing demonstrates the demographic vandalism of mass immigration more than that. Importing millions of people from third world nations is changing our population in a way none of us ever wanted or voted to support. It is unacceptable and it cannot be allowed to happen. We must be unafraid to grasp that nettle, however painful the establishment backlash may be. Restore Britain has committed to reversing the Islamification of Britain, and that will not change. The level of influence that Islam is exerting, even now, on our Christian way of life is unacceptable. Any future cooperation must include the banning of both halal and kosher slaughter, the burqa, cousin marriage, mass dominating public Islamic prayer, Sharia courts, and any other barbaric foreign practices that have no place in our high trust society. Britain is a Christian country, and we must ensure it remains that way. If we cannot agree on that, then there is simply no way forward. The recommendations from our independent rape gang inquiry must be implemented in full. That includes the deportation of foreign national accomplices who were aware of these heinous crimes and yet failed to act. I know you have publicly disagreed and that this was the source of our previous difference of opinion, but it is a firm red line. If a Pakistani woman knew her husband was repeatedly gang raping a vulnerable white English girl, yet failed to act, she should be sent back to Pakistan. I hope her husband is not so fortunate. And on that, third, a referendum on restoring the death penalty. Axel Rudakabana, Hashim Abedi, Shabir Ahmed. Keeping these monsters alive, and hundreds just like them, achieves nothing. The British people must be given a full, free, and fair referendum on the reintroduction of the death penalty for the most monstrous and undeniable criminals. You have opposed this previously, and that is why letting the British people decide is the right thing to do. I will, in that referendum, without a shadow of a doubt, be voting in favour. Fourth, restoring a self-sufficient Britain. Britain must live within its means. That means controlling spending, cutting welfare costs, and making difficult decisions to bring inflation under control and restore sound public finances. It means a Britain that can power itself, feed itself, defend itself, restore Britain's uniquely comprehensive policy papers are already addressing these challenges. To fund that, enormous cuts must be made. These choices will not always be popular, but we must be prepared to think in generations, not just election cycles. Governed by what is right for Britain, not for what will simply result in better polling. Difficult, unpopular decisions are now required, not short-term politicking, but long-term, hard planning that will ensure we leave a better Britain to our grandchildren than the one that was handed to us. Fifth, restoring the country's faith in politics. The British people have entirely lost faith in Westminster. That trust will not be restored by recycling the same ministers, advisors, and thinking that created today's problems. Former Conservative ministers who failed our country and our people in so many appalling ways must not be part of any future cabinet. They had their chance and they failed us all. That must not be rewarded with a second opportunity. These principles of restoration will be offered to the British people on the ballot paper at the next general election, with or without your cooperation. My sole aim through Restore Britain is the implementation of a properly considered policy programme that will start the process of desperately needed restoration for our once great country. I do not care how that is done. I only care that it is done. So Nigel, my message is simple. If you are prepared to work together around serious policies, serious reform, and serious government, then so are we. Not because it's politically convenient for Restore Britain, not because it's personally easy. After the events of the last 18 months, I would certainly rather not be making this offer. But millions and millions of British people deserve a patriotic government that puts our national interest before any personal differences that you and I may have. If you disagree, that is your choice. Restore Britain will be ready for what comes regardless. I truly believe there could be sufficient common ground for our two movements to cooperate collectively, destroy the looming left-wing alliance that will finish off what hope remains for this country. We have recently shown how effectively cooperation can work locally on the Norfolk County Council. So why not at national level? In my view, failing to even try because of our own personal difficulties is simply not an option. The British people deserve nothing less than our best and sincere efforts to make it happen. Now is the time to put our differences aside and cooperate for the good of the country that we all love.